And we're back here once again with another episode of the MSK show, and this is going to be episode 336. So I hope you guys had a great day, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week that is ahead of you. And in this episode of the MSK show, I am going to be having a conversation with Doc once again, and this is going to be his third appearance on the show. Every single time he comes on, we always have a great conversation about, comic books and movies and the entertainment industry, and his favorite rapper of all time, Sean Diddy Combs, aka Puff Daddy. God.
I was always more of a Tupac guy.
Yeah, what's crazy is basically Jada Pinkett Smith, everyone, might have been in love with a guy who was in love with another man. Just pointing out there, her long love of Tupac might be heavily, basically skewed because she thought she was in love with a straight man. Now, it turns out Diddy and Pac might have been getting it on. I find that the peak of irony, the way she screwed over Will Smith, I just find that all just enjoyable,
Yeah.
Oh, dude, do you remember in Gotham? You remember the TV show Gotham she was in? Her character was named Fish Mooney, where she was literally straight up swindle people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember. That was a fucking terrible show.
The castings were on point. They did a very good job with casting some characters, some of them.
Oh, yeah.
They had a great casting for the Riddler. That was a slam dunk casting right there.
Yeah, I mean, look, the casting was fine. The premise of the show was completely and utterly flawed.
Yeah,
because the end of this show, like the whole point of it is either it's a story about, it's a prequel to eventually a future where Batman is just beating up a bunch of geriatrics, because they're all like 30 years older than him. So by the time he becomes actual Batman and he's at 30, he's beating on senior citizens, or the retired, or it's a show about an ineffective cop.
Yeah, and doesn't the show pretty much have that premise the same way that other DC story that came out in the later 2010 period, where it's like that Gotham Central story where it's just the police are looking at it at their point of view next to Batman? But that kind of premise I don't think can work on a TV show because you already kind of know how the ending's going to be. He's going to become Batman and that's it. Like, do you just see the development of the character? Like, you're basically just having a TV show that is just the development of the villains without Batman present. And it's like, is that really worth the time for a show? Evidently they thought so because they did 4 seasons. I only watched season 1 and I was like, you know what? I think this is about as good as it gets. I'm out.
Yeah.
The Maronis. Remember the Maroni casting at the end of season 1 where he's like, I'm potting number 1 and you're potting number 2. And when he died, I was like, well, they just killed the best actor in the show. I think it's time to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So like that show was, like a Gotham Central show would have worked because that was, the comic that was Greg Rucka and Ed Brubaker. You could do a Gotham Central show because Batman can't be everywhere. And you especially, I don't know if you could do it a show or even a comic so much now with how big the goddamn Bat family is. There's like 25, 30 members of the Bat family. It's like a fucking platoon. So doing a Gotham Central comic when you got that many Bat people and Bat tangential people, I think it kind of hurts. But when you have like a relatively small Bat family where you got Bruce, you got one of the Robins, take your pick. Maybe there's a Nightwing and maybe there's a Barbara Gordon, but there's no Spoiler, there's no Huntress, there's no all Batwoman, there's no 7 other Batgirls and 6 other Robins. When you have that world, you can do it because Batman's handling what he thinks is the big stuff or just what he happens to come across at the time. And a lot of the smaller crimes, the more he mugged me, the street level crime stuff and the stuff that hasn't really gotten on Batman's radar yet, or that he's just too busy to handle. You could do that stuff in a Batman, in a Gotham
Yeah.
show. And I think you could do it well. I mean, it's just going to be your run of the mill police procedural.
Yeah.
That would have worked. The problem was you made it a Batman show with a preteen Bruce Wayne and a bunch of 35 to 50-year-old criminals. So by the time he grows up, he's beating on like 60 to 85-year-olds.
Yeah. That's why what I liked with Batman Begins with the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy's first movie was that they had that period where they fast forwarded to when he was an adult after what happened to him, showing him like going through all those troubles and traveling around the world and all those fighting techniques that he learns and stuff, because like who wants to watch a kid beat up on 50-year-old people and like the suspension of disbelief automatically just leaves your brain if you yourself can't believe it can happen even in a fantasy world. That's when you're already kind of losing the audience. So also he's a rich kid, like he's gonna have it sucks his parents are gone. He does have Alfred. He can literally get anything he wants. Like he doesn't have to really kind of, do anything. Everything's kind of taken care of for him. So it's like we're watching some privileged, really rich white kid not have his parents, but where it ends. It's like that show Krypton, where people are like, well, why would I watch Krypton knowing the series finale is going to be Krypton blowing up? Like, why would I watch that? You already lost me at the premise,
Yeah, exactly. Now, I mean, I guess everybody kind of just goes back to, well, it worked for Smallville. And I'd say, yeah, you're kind of right. I mean, it worked for Smallville for like 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah, but then they transitioned him into, basically being Superman without actually wearing the costume, because Smallville was pretty much predicated on, to be fair, they wanted to do a Batman show, but they couldn't do it. But Smallville works because you had him growing up in Kansas in his early teenage life, and he's not Superman yet. He's essentially Superboy. Then later seasons, he grows up, and then he becomes Superman at the very end of the show. With Batman, it's weird because most people have a custom Batman to his parents die, Tim automatically becoming Batman with like a time jump kind of thing. Yeah, and people kind of want to see the kind of in between. Usually, you use that in between for the flashbacks and the storytelling to expand on the relationships he used to have when he was going through those trial periods. Like I remember I think you played the Arkham games, or what they're about. Like what they did was like at certain points in Bruce's life, they have him have interesting interactions with characters, and they talk about his past, and it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. But then it's like we know he basically loses his parents, trains a whole bunch, and then starts wearing the cape and cowl. It's like, what else more can you really expand upon there? That's why it's so weird for comic books sometimes. Like Mark Waid's gonna do another Superboy, origin telling. It's like, have we not seen this before?
Yeah, like I mean, look, I feel like there was 2 different shows that they could have done instead of the Gotham show. You could have done a Gotham Central show that was, the cops and everything trying to do what they can on the stuff that Batman either can't get to or hasn't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
Or you could have done a teenage Bruce Wayne becoming Batman, a Smallville-esque.
Yeah.
But in that, he's not in Gotham. He's maybe in Gotham a little bit, but then for most of the show, it would be, it's going to be a much more costly show to film because now you're going to be going to different locations, going around the world.
Your idea works with that. Yeah. Let's do it like what Smallville did it, but have him older as a teenager, borderlining on going to be an adult, actually.
Yeah. And have him going and seeing him training and coming into conflict with these folks that maybe eventually turn into his nemesis or his rogues gallery once, because they all end up going to Gotham at the end or whatever. Or he comes across some, obviously Ra's al Ghul. He'd be coming across some other traveler that might end up maybe down the line being the Joker. You could have him come across some tech company that's doing illegal human experimentations with lizard DNA, and that'll eventually lead to Killer Croc, or whatever the hell you want to do. You can do that kind of thing where it'd be like you could do Easter eggs, or down the line, this
and
is who
that's the way you immerse the more like adult audience to like your people's demographic, like your age demographic. Because if that's how Smallville did it, remember like the first season where like you know how like his parents said he was fucking insane when he was a kid and he couldn't and he did not use his powers, when he would just like yell and the like stuff would just start falling apart, or he would have temper tantrums and he would like break a wall and they didn't know how to deal with it. That's when you would effectively utilize like the kid aspect, showing that he was all mentally fucked up from losing his parents the way he did. It's just it's always so weird what those premises shows, because then you like same thing with the Star Wars prequels that people always said the ultimate outlier of them was like, well, we kind of know how this ends up, so like what's the point of having these? But like you said, you kind of see the journey to becoming that's the actual overarching point of that. But when you already have a storyline where people have seen the ending of it, it's hard to convince someone, hey, get invested in something that you already kind of know the outcome of, you know?
I mean, you might have an audience for a another Batman show without Batman, as long as you can see that progression towards it. They tried to do that with teenage, like as Bruce got older in the Gotham show, but for the most part, he was still just a useless bitch, and at no point was he even a remote threat to anyone. And he, like, you expect me to believe that this 16-year-old kid that can barely do anything is somehow gonna magically in the next 3 years become a world-renowned martial artist and
as with Smallville,
the best detective in the world?
When you reverse it with Smallville season 1, Clark had the aspects of his life that we could relate to. He was struggling with going to school, not like with grades, but like having to control his powers during school, having to balance out saving people without getting exposed for his powers. Like hell, the first episode, Lex rams his car into Clark. Lex goes flying, and then Lex wakes up and going, "Wait, you're perfectly fine. How the fuck this happened?" You know, things like that we could relate to, because things in life like that happen, where things happen where you kind of have to kind of act and behave in a certain way where other people just don't notice or see what your actions are. Nothing even like just bad, being like, well, glad the person didn't see what I just did there, because that would freaking suck. Or you had aspects where he liked a girl, but she was already with someone. When we're in everyone has a simp face where she's with another guy, but she can't really be with you. And then what's crazy is that her original boyfriend like sort of died in some war or some shit. Like, all right, I guess Smallville writers had a problem or some shit. But then like later on, you know, you have the friend who's jealous of you, because it was Pete. Remember, he was jealous of Clark at a certain point. So like I think Smallville makes it work based off how Clark's life would unfold. Bruce's, it's more like, well, what can we really kind of relate to him on, especially for their kid aspect? Because he's a rich kid who lost his parents, but he has Alfred, and he can pretty much have everything he wants. It's, you know, I'm not saying I dislike the premise of what Gotham tried to. I think what you said before is true. If they did more like a Gotham Central premise with him being in like that Smallville reign of it, taking influence from that, that's where you can make the show work. But it's kind of felt meaningless at a certain point, because it just wasn't as, you know, something that wasn't enticing to me. Also, before we go, do you remember the last episodes you were on?
No. Actually, I did not.
So Doc forgot me.
I remember being here. I just don't remember what the hell we talked about. We talked about so much different stuff.
Doc forgot about me just like my dad. So essentially, wait, hold on. Well, my dad was white when he left. God damn it. Fucking hell. So your first episode appearance was on episode 162. And the last one was 252. And this one where we broke the curse, this is 336. Thought we were going to have you on like 332 or something, you know, the ending too. But are you going by a different name now these days? Because you have your name as the Doktor. So did you change? Did you evolve?
No, it's always been the Doktor. That was, and everybody just calls me Doc.
Okay.
It's
do you want me to go back and change the episode name so it matches that?
No, you're fine, man.
Okay.
You're good. It's fine. Because everybody, they're nicknames upon nicknames upon nicknames.
Right.
So, Yeah, no, it's really nice to be back here. I love how like stream of consciousness it is. There's no real format to it. Like my girlfriend was asking me, she's like, "Oh, so what are you guys talking about tonight?" I'm like, "Fuck if I know." Nerd shit. That's
Actually,
it. That's all I got.
because I was going to go over to this because we talked about this before we actually went live. And the thing that a lot of people actually don't understand in the nerd community, and I talked about with this same subject as I did with Rogue Hero when I had him on a few weeks ago, was that even he knew this too, was that a lot of people think you could just hurt these companies' wallets by not purchasing their product, whether it be anything nerd related. And I just want to let people know this. I know a lot of people are going to watch this on the replay. We are not the customers, okay? So you going into your local shop, whether you buy comic books, Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Magic cards, anything nerd related, the shop is depending on you buying it because they've already bought it months in advance and ordered it from the distributors. The distributors also buy it from whoever makes the damn shit, right? We are not the customers. So when a Yu-Gi-Oh player goes, we have to hurt Konami by their wallets. We just can't purchase the cards. All you do with that is just screw the shops out of money. That's what you do. Because this is how the system works. The system is worked to basically, I don't know who created the system. It's a really horrible system, but
well, I mean, look, it's a system that works when it works, but it also shields the producer from a lot of the consequences of their own actions. The only way to hurt the producers of entertainment product, be they comics, cards, movies, television shows, whatever, is to hurt somebody that is otherwise actually pretty good. They're just there to facilitate you getting that product. You got to hurt the store. And that's unfortunate because you got to hurt the store enough so that they will then pass on that pain to the distributor. And then you have to hurt the distributor by enough stores doing it to then force the publisher to change the product, because it's a B2B to B2C industry. It's publisher to distributor to store to ultimate end user. And unfortunately, that becomes a very, very difficult process because the stores, especially the retailers, they will adjust their business model. And they're not, they look at it as, oh, well, this is just a minor hiccup. This is a temporary whatever. It's a temporary course correction in market. So say if half the readers or half their customers drop, say, X-Men tomorrow, and they would think it's a temporary hiccup. They're not going to alter significantly their order numbers, so they're not going to pass that pain along. And if they're looking at it as, oh, we're selling less, they're going to get more aggressive in one of their other revenue streams, be it cards then, or back issues, or hosting gaming events, or whatever, random geek bodega tchotchkes, whatever it may
most
be.
Of them now do everything from tabletop games to fighting game tournaments to Pokemon Magic cards. Comic books, I would imagine is on a very low totem pole end on that, unless they're selling a lot of back issues or collected editions. I heard have a nice little kind of return value to them, but then again, that depends on which collected edition you're talking about, obviously.
But and even then, everybody buys them on Amazon.
What's crazy about that is when James Gunn announced, remember that first phase of DCU movies were all based off these books, which kind of find out, it's crazy how this guy has lied about just random things. Like, so he lied when he said that his Superman movie was based off the comic book run All-Star Superman. Nothing besides Superman's name is what anything that movie's based off of. I'm just pointing out right now. That was just a straight up lie. I don't know why he said that. Maybe he just liked Grant Morrison. Well, just say I like Grant Morrison and just shill his shit then. Don't say your movie's based off his fucking book and have nothing about it be about the movie. But that is beside the point. What I want to bring up was that all of these movies he was saying these books are based off of all did sales very well on Amazon. People found out they were all sales very well on Amazon, and even the reprints sold very well. That didn't help the shops. Not the shops at all, honestly. which sucks, you know.
Primarily because look, those kind of things need to be coordinated. If you're going to make those kind of announcements, if like say the publisher or a studio is going to make these kind of announcements and want to direct people to shops, they got to let the shops know a couple of weeks ahead of time, hey, we're going to be making this announcement coming up. You might want to increase your inventory on All-Star Superman and Tom King's Supergirl and Warren Ellis Authority, and oh wait, we don't even have that in print right now because Warren's still persona non grata in the comic industry. So they're going to tell them. They would tell the stores ahead of time so that the stores can be prepared, because they only have, especially collected editions, they keep one, maybe 2 copies, especially for older stuff. Older source material. It's not like the same thing happened with, now the stores were a little better with predicting that Invincible would be a big draw and making sure that they had stocked up. But when it's just an announcement, now all of a sudden everybody's immediate thought is, oh, I'm going to just go to Amazon and grab it. You know why? Because Amazon isn't going to run out of it after the first customers in the door. I guarantee most comic shops, I would be shocked if they had more than 2 copies of the trade of All-Star Superman in stock at any given time.
And they had
since launch week.
Yeah, the reason why we know you were right is because they had to go back for reprints because they all sold out. Keep in mind, that means they knew when they printed those books that they didn't even. They pretty much said, well, if these sell out, who knows? If they don't, who cares? Because no one's interested.
With collected editions, that's always what it is. They and until they run out from either their stores or the distributor, because the distributor will keep those on hand. But they only they print 10,000 copies and it goes to the distributor. The stores
aren't about certain books being out of print. I think there's
merit
to it.
No, they're a lot of them are out of print. They're currently not doing a run of them. There may be some at the distributor. Don't know, because basically the publishers will publish these, and as soon as the print run's done, it just goes off to the distributor. Then as the distributor pays for them, in a lot of cases, actually, the distributor doesn't even, they just keep an accounting of what is currently in inventory at their level. And once they've sent them all to the stores, they give the publishers their portion of the check of the invoices that comes back. But until then, they're just sitting there. The publisher may know how many copies are still at the distributor, but they have no idea how many are still at, say, sitting at Amazon at their warehouse, because Amazon might take on 5,000 copies of something. Like I guarantee that they were looking at, oh, this Invincible cartoon is launching on our platform. Let's make sure we have a bunch of this in stock, because we're going to have people that immediately go from, especially if they're watching on like a laptop or a phone.
Yeah.
Just, you could, if you're watching on a phone, you could literally just click right to go buy it.
Yeah.
It's a little harder on your television, but not that much.
Even when I was at Frank and Sons, that was the main comic book series people had compendiums of. And I own Compendium 1. I need to buy the other 2. That was the one series everyone had compendiums of, because Invincible, it's always talked about of like, hey, do you have any of the trades or Invincible hardcovers or anything?
Yeah, I have the 12 hardcovers for the record.
Yeah, I have one. I think I stopped buying them around number 3 because I think the companions just have all together. But man, the hardcovers look so good. If you don't actually have them, look very, very good.
They do. other than, and this is my OCD kicking in again.
Yeah.
I think it's volume 7 or 9. The Invincible logo on the spine is in red instead of yellow. It's only that one. All the other ones are yellow.
Also, my OCD kicks in as well. It's like if I start one series in one format, I'd like it to be in that format. So, like, even when DC puts out, they put out the trades and the hardcovers the same week now. Well, if I start a book out in hardcover, well, I want it just to be in hardcovers. Then what the fuck would I have softback? But then there's bullshit times where they'll print a book in a hardcover, and you're like, okay, I'm with it. And then the rest of them are soft covers. Like, what?
Yeah,
that's gonna look weird.
Yep. I just don't buy them then. I'm like, no, my OCD is gonna. I'm like, nope, fuck you, fuck you. I'm not buying it until you publish it to match. And now, don't get me started on all the Marvel hardcovers and like their hardcover 12-issue collections or their omnibuses.
Especially
they
with
cannot
X-Men mapping. X-Men mapping is terrible.
You can't. The X-Men omnibuses are good luck. Because none of them they're in not any specific order. They really are, because there's so many of them that are X-overs that are crossovers that jump over and do like 2 issues over in another book.
Yeah, too much double dipping. I'll be honest, when it comes to collected editions now, I don't even care if they double dip anymore. I just want the freaking book so it can be in order at this point.
Yeah, I'm the same way. But no, what I'm talking about is their spine design.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
binding.
Different bad. Yeah.
Like the whole layout of the spine. I have, and I bought them literally brand new, Wolverine Omnibus 1 through 3. And every single one of them says volume 1. The second one just says 2. The third one just says 3. There's no volume. The size of the Wolverine, like the font of the Wolverine logo, like on the spine, different for no particular reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's different sizing, different font.
They did it recently with the Phoenix Omnibus, the third one that just came out. It doesn't even say volume 3 on the third Omnibus. So when I went to go buy it, because I saw it on Near Mint Conditions YouTube channel, I was like, this looks fucking great. I kind of want to dive into this stuff. Kind of find out, there's volume 1 was fucking thin as hell. So I bought volume 1 first. When I found out that was the third volume, I was like, well, thank God I just buy a random volume 3 in an omnibus series when. Because if it said volume 3, my brain instantly would go, okay, there's 2 more above this. So then I went and got volume 2 after buying volume 1, and it's like, why does this not say volume 3? And the Wolverine omnibus you just said, I recently just finally caved in and bought the very first one, and I bought them all the way up until volume 4 currently. When I get paid this week, I'm gonna buy volume 5. But I noticed that too. Like when I was looking at the pictures, because they said the older Wolverine omnibuses have like spine problems. I'm like, that fucking sucks. They're not going to reprint these books anytime soon. They still have not reprinted Claremont's run in omnibus format.
Yes,
for whatever reason.
it comes. That's another one that comes in and out of print. But like, okay, so volume 1 just says 1. Volume 2 and 3 say volume 2 and volume 3. The font for the Wolverine like logo on like the word mark on the spine on volume 1 or number 1 and volume 2 are different sizes, but they're the same font. For volume 3, it is the typical Wolverine masthead, like that font. So the cover of like the old, like the original Wolverine title, where it has that like it's white with like the blue shadow, like the offset shadow on each letter. That it has that logo. The masthead from the cover is on the spine, but the other two is just block letter Wolverine. So none of them look like they match. It's like you had 3 different designers and they didn't just keep a template.
Oh, also, speaking of Marvel and messing up reprinting omnibuses, so they have this. No, Spider-Man has this one called Spectacular Spider-Man, which is a series that Spider-Man used to have. Then it just never had a volume 2. It just only had a volume 1. Then earlier this year, they put out the Spectacular Spider-Man omnibus run by J.M. DeMatteis, right? Or DeMatteis.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just do a volume 2? I don't get, like, that's the problem with collecting things in collected edition. Is that's my usual biggest fear in doing it is publisher will just skip over an entire section of a run to get to this other run. And it's like I just hate when they do that. It's because just take the time and reprinting things in order. It's going to be a massive benefit later on when I could just go and pick out, hey, that's where you start. That's where I need to just build up my collection from. You know?
Oh yeah.
It's just so crazy that people have been asking for that volume 2 for so long and they just jump into the other one. It's just like, why do they do this? Maybe it's because they don't want to pay the creator the royalties, but then again,
oftentimes that actually is the case, because if you go back to the 80s and even into the 90s, reprinting and collected editions were rare. They were reserved for only the best of the best stories. If you missed, I don't know, like 20 issues of X-Men and they weren't part of, like, there was no first appearances, there was no major story arc, it wasn't an Extinction Agenda, a Days of Future Past, even Fall of the Mutants or Mutant Massacre were not collected. They were not collected for a very, very long time. And so because they were so rare, the contracts for the royalties on these with creators for reprints were actually pretty good. Because they were so rare. If you managed to do something that justified a collected edition back then, then you deserve to get a pretty nice sizable check out of it. But if you say there was 20 issues there and you missed them, you're going back issue hunting. That's the only way you're ever reading those books. And that's the way it was up until the early 2000s. In fact, the Image had started doing it in like 2001. Marvel did it for the Ultimate line. That was the start of them collecting everything. And with Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, the Ultimates, and Ultimate Fantastic Four, those were the ones that got collected. Now they jump back a little bit because actually a lot of before that, it was a Joe Quesada thing. The Marvel Knights stuff from when he and Jimmy Palmiotti were doing the Marvel Knights line.
Jimmy, your best friend, Palmiotti?
I don't mind Jimmy. He's just dumb. He's a very, very nice guy, but he's just not very intelligent.
I'm glad he gets to work in the industry again. He's doing Punisher and a lot of stuff with Marvel currently. So hopefully it makes him happy.
Yeah, exactly. But so that was the first line that pretty much everything got collected. So Bendis, well, first Kevin Smith's Daredevil, and then Bendis's Daredevil. But that Paul Jenkins, Sentry and Inhumans, Garth Ennis's Welcome Back Frank. I think the only one that did not get collected out of that Marvel Knights in like the initial runs was the Black Widow book. It did get collected later.
Well, it's crazy, but what you just said about Black Widow, I've not seen her get a lot of omnibuses, even when I started collecting. She doesn't really, she gets like trades every once in a while.
That's because she's never had a series go long enough to justify an omnibus.
Yeah.
I don't think any Black Widow solo series has gone more than maybe 12 issues.
And the last time I saw her in the solicitations was when she was with Hawkeye or some shit. It was like a Hawkeye mini series they did like some years ago. That was the last time I saw her. I haven't seen her in anything solo, even when I first started buying like single issues and stuff like that. Now I've been doing this for like a good, about 4 or 5 years at this point, that's quite a bit of time to not see a Marvel character, even though she's supposed to be apparently this big character. That's what I tell people when it comes to the MCU. The MCU did a bad thing with tricking people with the popularity of certain characters. Black Widow is never that. She was never that popular character, unless you were like a person that knew about comic books. There's There's some characters that broke out of that, like Hulk, Captain America. That probably would say Thor, probably the most popular ones they got. So, if you didn't know who the Hulk was, you were just not into comic books or even superheroes in general. That if you didn't know who the Hulk was, that was just your fault. You know?
Black Widow has never had a series last more than 12 issues. In fact, okay, so the Marvel Knights series that was done was the first solo Black Widow series. It lasted 3 issues.
Holy crap. So sales for her character were bad even back then.
That her second volume, which was also under the Marvel Knights line, also 3 issues. Her third got up to 6 issues. Fourth, 6 issues. Fifth, 8 issues. Sixth, that's the one that, oh no, I'm sorry, I missed this one. It did get 20 issues. And that was during the Marvel Now era. And honestly, it would not shock me if a lot of the reason for that was J. Scott Campbell did covers for, he did variants for issue 1. He did 2 variants for it. And they were sold. And it probably pumped up the numbers enough. But volume 7, 12 issues, volume 8, 5 issues, volume 9, which was the most recent, that went to 15 issues. So yeah, 20 issues is the max. That's not enough for an omnibus.
That's not even enough for a compendium, actually. I know. And people want Marvel to do compendiums now. That wouldn't even get one. Actually, the sales, there would just be no pre-orders for it. The sales would be too low. Like, it just wouldn't have any interest at all, honestly.
Yeah, and honestly, the only reason anybody even gives a shit about her first solo title is because it's the first appearance of Yelena Belova. Which I don't like as a character. I think she's pointless. I don't like Florence Pugh as an actress. So that's a character I give 0 fucks about. But that's the only reason why anybody even cares about that book. And that is probably the only quote unquote key book that Black Widow's ever had. Hell, the issue of Amazing Spider-Man that I have that switched her from having like the spy out or where she was kind of mod looking and switching over to the sleek cat suit version that she wore through most of the gray and black cat suit that she wore all the way up through the 90s and to basically the Marvel Knights period where they put her into a just black latex bodysuit. That is probably a bigger key than anything other than that issue with Yelena Belova.
So I know a Nearman Condition did a top 10 most wanted X-Men related omnibuses 2025 edition. So okay, let's start with number 10. He wants a Cable Omnibus Volume 1. It would cover like Cable, Blood and Metal. It would have X-Force in there. Do you think a Cable Omnibus would be pretty good?
They already have the X-Force stuff in the X-Force Omnibus. But I think that there is a lot to do with a Cable Omnibus. You got the Jeff Loeb, Ian Churchill run in there. You got Blood and Metal. You got, because I mean you can just go and get the Cable, or the X, like you could get the X-Force series omnibus and it's going to cover most of that. But
so this would be mostly just a lot of double dipping, honestly.
This seems from what you're showing here, really this does look like, okay, Cable 1 through 31. All right. X-Force number 1. All right, fine. And number 8, Wolverine 85. Okay. There's only a little bit of double dipping here. It is a primarily Cable solo I could get behind that.
Okay.
It needs it. They probably need one.
What about number 10, Magneto War?
No, that's not. It's not enough content.
Okay.
350 to 370. The Magneto War, Magneto Rex. This is. I mean, look. I'm sorry. You can't call. A lot of this stuff is again already covered in.
Mhm.
There is a lot of double dipping and a lot of finding stuff out of the dollar bin. To be honest.
Wolverine Best There Is?
No, that's one series that absolutely does well. I'm looking at this 159. Okay, I mean that's fine. I wouldn't call it the best there is because that was the worst Wolverine series that has ever been done. um, there was that Wolverine the Best There Is series that was fucking terrible.
Oh God.
It's worse than Salad Man's current run.
Storm Omnibus Volume 1? Not with Twilight, because that's for chicks. And these movies suck. These movies suck ass. Just pointing out, those movies stink.
Look, this is just picking and choosing a lot of Storm stuff. I hate to say it, Storm is not. It does not justify a.
I don't think there would be enough sales for this.
No.
I just don't think there would be enough stores ordering it. There's just no way.
This is just a mishmash of 1 and 2 part Storm stories. There is nothing cohesive about this whatsoever.
What would be number 5? He had number was it like
New X-Men Academy X. This one I could get behind. New Mutants 1 through 13, New X-Men Academy X. And this one
not bad.
Definitely.
And number 5 would be X-Force and Cable, the Messiah era.
I'd say the Messiah trilogy. You could do one. I'd say it'd probably work well. Messiah trilogy would work.
And what's 4? 4 is just New Mutants. Hasn't this been printed? Oh, it's on only volume 4.
4. It's the end of the series.
Do you think there's enough demand for that?
Well, you are double dipping a little bit. Well, you're getting all of the Liefeld.
Oh, okay.
I think that this would be the one that everybody would want because this is the Liefeld New Mutants because he came on at 85 or 86.
Highest selling comic book he always talks about and brags about every single time on Twitter.
And then 100. You do have a little bit of double dipping in here because you have the Extinction Agenda in here. You have the Extinction Agenda is really the only thing you're double dipping. It seems to be padded out though with a reasonable amount of dollar bin fodder though.
Oh, God. What's number 3? I forgot.
Exiles.
Oh
yeah. I love this series, to be perfectly honest. Mm-hmm. It is probably like the first 92 issues of this was probably the number 1 or number 2 best X book at the time it was being published. And Blink, Morph, and Mimic and Nocturne are 4 of the most interesting characters that you could find, especially for a not connected X book. If you wanted an X-Men book that you didn't have to read 4 other X-Men books to ever understand, this was it.
Okay. And what's the second one? Second one is Generation X Omnibus Volume 1.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you got the Phalanx Covenant material in here. The Ashcan edition, the Underground, a lot of that. Again, that's some dollar bin fodder and and little like preview book
stuff. Okay,
It's just
so
padding.
also when you mentioned dollar bin fodder, is that fodder that's good enough for the overall view of the story, or just shit that's basically just throwaway shit that
It's
doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things?
for the most part, a lot of it doesn't really matter in the grand
Okay.
scheme of things. It's more to just pad it out. Yes, it's connected. Yes, it'll
But it's
add
like
a
if you didn't know
time.
those stories existed, you wouldn't care, kind
It
of
would
thing.
not impact your enjoyment of it at all. Like
Okay.
that Storm one was 100% like just disconnected nonsense. It was like, hey, we want to sell something with Storm on it, so we're going to grab 40 different Storm stories that have absolutely no connective tissue because she's never had more than 1 or 2 issues at a time that are important, and she can't carry a solo.
And the last one I think is X-Men by Mike Carey, Omnibus Volume 1. Oh man, look at that art.
Yeah, that
Woo!
Dave Finch. Yeah, you know what? I'd say X-Men by Mike Carey, because you'd be starting with Supernovas and then going into the Children of the Vault, and I'd say up until 204, that's actually really good. 208 through 227. Why? Oh, because the Messiah trilogy is 205, 206, and 207. That was from, I don't remember if it was uh, Endangered Species or Messiah Complex or what, or Second Coming. I don't recall. Yeah, I look after about 212 though, 215, when it just becomes the Rogue and Gambit an Xavier book, it runs out of steam really, really fast.
So that's something I wanted to ask you too. I don't think I've asked you this the other times you were on, because everyone knows you're like the X-Men guy. When people say to stop reading X-Men after Claremont's run, what's the issue number that is?
After Claremont's run?
Yeah, because some people say they dropped off after that.
Well, it would be on Uncanny, it would be 281 is the last issue he wrote. Technically he only wrote up to 277.
Okay.
But it was finishing off stuff that he was doing. But because he left Uncanny at 277, and then he only did the first 3 issues of Adjectiveless. Because Adjectiveless X-Men number 1 coincides with Uncanny X-Men 281. They came out the same month. So that was when Jim and Chris left X-Men or Uncanny X-Men to go and do X-Men. Willis Portasio took over he left X Factor and moved over to Uncanny X-Men. And John Byrne actually came back and wrote Uncanny X-Men starting at 281 for about 10-12 issues. And then he actually took over the scripting duties on Adjectiveless X-Men after issue 3, starting at issue 4 and up through 10 or 12, and then he rage quit the office, the whole X-Men office. That's when Fabian kind of took over on one of the books, and Scott Liddell. Because, interesting story, he actually just happened to be walking down the hall at the right time. Because John Byrne had quit, they had to go to press in like a week. They needed a script in a week, and Liddell was like, he was a stand-up comedian at the time. He wasn't really doing comics, and they said, "Can you get the script in by the end of the week?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure."
And what are the chances of you adding this X-Men omnibus to your collection? The X-Men Age of Krakoa Dawn of X Omnibus Volume 1. What are the chances?
You know what? I have the House of X, Powers of X, the one on the left there.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I do have that because I like that story. The problem is everything that was done after that story. And the fact that none of the things that were set up in that story ever got paid off other than one throwaway panel where Apocalypse had been to Krakoa before.
Mhm.
And actually I think that's about it. That's
You know what's
about
crazy
all
is I
that got
remember
paid
just
off.
combing through a bunch of Reddit comments about how people felt about that era, and it was pretty 50-50, but now since things have gotten so bad, they're like, can we just have that back? That's how you know things are bad.
Yeah, that is the problem. Is all you're doing is, again, you're going for a slightly less stinkier turd in a pile. How about actually find flowers,
Oh,
not turds?
this
I
is
mean,
Marvel
that's
Comics these
it's
days.
I don't know, audience. You probably look for actual flowers. Just because it sucks, because you think that Krakoa sucks less than now, doesn't make it good. That's really what it comes down to. It's still not good. It's just less terrible than now, and that was a very, very low bar to get above, which they failed to achieve. They've actually gone under Krakoa, which was bad. It was the worst. Every era, like at this point, I'm sitting there going, "Can I have Chuck Austin back?" And his weird, fetish comics.
Wasn't
Fuck.
even what's his name? Brian Michael Bendis or Grant Morrison, when they even had their runs when that was considered controversial. Wouldn't
Well,
it be better to just have them back then by this
Grant,
point?
Grant wasn't controversial at the time. It's Grant, even other than the fact that all he was doing was Chris Claremont's greatest hits. He was a really, really good cover band doing somebody else's greatest hits. Cool, interesting, different takes on things, added a little bit. The problem was all of the unintended consequences and the fallout, the second, third, fourth order effects. There was always a never discussed but kind of implied, and you never even thought about it because it was never even brought up, that the X Mansion and the school was for people that were fucking useful to Xavier. Boy and Glob Herman are not useful to Xavier. Why are they ever given a chance to live in this mansion? That shark girl, not useful. All of the fucking students that Morrison added in that time, Beak, the Latina angel girl that's not Angel, that was just calling herself Angel because her name is Angel. All of those characters, utterly fucking useless. But that was there. There's a reason. They're all the ones that would have been Morlocks before. Morrison let them into the mansion.
Because Brian Michael Bendis, he did All New X-Men, which recently that got another omnibus printing. Did you like his All New X-Men series? You didn't like it? Okay.
No, I did not. I didn't like the idea of bringing the original 5 X-Men to the present for more than, I don't know, a story arc.
Yeah, because I remember you weren't the hugest fan of the original X-Men.
Well, most people weren't. That's the reason why why the book got canceled and went to reprints for almost 3 years before they replaced the entire fucking team.
I think they need to do that now. I think maybe they need to go back to that, but at this point they can't do that. That would be them admitting defeat. They'll never do that at this point.
Yeah, but so like for a long time there were Morlocks running around in the sewer. At no point did Xavier ever even contemplate opening the mansion up to let them live there and be taught, even the kids. And it was never even discussed. It wasn't thought about. The fact that there were kids living in sewers and nobody ever even mentioned, like, hey, maybe we should teach them to use their powers and enroll them in the school. We're a school, right? Nope, wasn't even brought up. You know why? Mm-hmm. Because it would have addressed something that was not really all that great, which is the fact that Xavier only let people live there and essentially have access to billions of dollars worth of technology and assets and supplemented their entire life in order, including vehicles and clothing and food and everything. As long as they were actually fighting for his vision as essentially a bunch of a paramilitary strike squad.
Did you like X-Men by Mark Guggenheim's run?
The Colors era, it wasn't very good. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it's so forgettable. Like if you look back at like the red and blue, or I'm sorry, blue and gold era, that's the, because it was X-Men Blue, X-Men Gold. Then they later added the X-Men Red, the first volume, the Tom Taylor one, which was fucking abysmal. It's one of the reasons why Tom Taylor needs a one-way trip to colonize the sun. But and then they did X-Men Black, which was the series of one-shots with all the villains. But no, the Colors era, I was not a big fan of, primarily again because it was so forgettable. If other than I remember, Old Man Logan was on the gold team because regular Wolverine was dead, but so was X-23, and she was calling herself Wolverine, but Old Man Logan was there because even though they killed Wolverine, they literally just brought in a different Logan.
I love how they always do that.
And because nobody would have bought an X-Men book or a Wolverine book, including the Laura Kinney book, without actually Wolverine being alive. But he didn't call himself Wolverine anymore. But no, it was not it is such a forgettable era that I mean, I couldn't remember. I couldn't tell you a story arc. I remember there was one, they fought against remember there was a giant statue in one issue. That's all I remember from literally. And Kitty and Kitty stood Colossus up at the altar, so Rogue got married to Gambit.
And this is what I think. Do you think the problem with X-Men throughout the years is like you have this ever expanding roster of constant new people, so you don't get a chance to focus on just a core group? Do you think that's always been a problem with a lot of X-Men runs, where people just end up recycling a few of the popular characters just to sell the runs?
This is a second and third order effect of Morrison. With expanding there were always other mutants. We knew that. Most of them were Morlocks and utterly useless. At least for story following them month in, month out kind of ways. There were too many mutants when you had Havoc leading the X-Force or X-Factor team, Cable leading X-Force, Jean and Storm leading the gold team in Uncanny, and Scott leading the blue team in Adjectiveless. There was already, like, literally one of the stories was called Too Many Mutants, like one of the issues, and there was like 20 of them, 25 maybe, and that was too many. And you had already kind of written some of them out, like Longshot and Dazzler had kind of gone off on their own. A lot of the other New Mutants that Rob had kind of unceremoniously shuffled off, like Rusty and Skids and Danny Moonstar and a couple of the other original New Mutants. So the only two original New Mutants, or three left, actually Richter wasn't even an original, were Cannonball and Boom Boom. Actually, Boom Boom wasn't an original, so Cannonball was the only original New Mutant left on X-Force. All the rest of them had kind of just gotten, they're gone. They're off doing something we don't know. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Um,
And still to this day, Wolverine's the only character, maybe beside like Cable, who can only just hold his own solo series. Just,
yeah, Wolverine, Cable, and Deadpool are the only three that can carry a solo series, and the quicker Marvel realizes that,
and not
it
even
just
Deadpool
accepts it.
anymore.
No,
You don't.
Deadpool can't anymore. Well, he
Yeah.
still could if you could actually get a competent writer on him.
Yeah. Like recently, people don't know the ongoing Deadpool series got to like 15 issues because they could do that whole legacy number 300 bullshit, and then they ended up just relaunching it with a new number one because it was at a New York Comic Con. They announced the Shadows of Tomorrow. So their era, which was from the asshole, a new butt plug, that didn't work because reasons. And
Yep.
they just announced a bunch of new shit. Now they announced what X-Men 20. So X-Men and Uncanny X-Men are still ongoing, written
And
by Jed
Wolverine.
McKay. Yeah, and Wolverine. So you have Saladin Ahmed, Jed McKay, and Gail Simone. Those series are staying with them. And then you get these. I want to get your opinions on these. So do you like any of the Uncanny or regular X-Men or Wolverine stuff written by those three writers so far? Like,
currently, no.
okay.
Jed McKay's is probably the most tolerable of the three. Wolverine is an insufferable. Well, it's not even an insufferable. It's just a bad comic. Uncanny X-Men is utterly insufferable. I've never. Wes and I reviewed one recently.
Yeah.
And well, it's whatever the age of whatever the fuck they're
It's like
doing
the
right
Age
now.
of Dark Revelation or some shit like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever. Gail is the only person that has gotten worse at accents the more she does them. They're just unbearable. It is unreadable comic.
So we're getting a Cyclops number one.
Yep. Never gonna sell. This is like volume 4 for Cyclops. Look, and it has nothing to do with Scott or even the creatives.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it does have a little bit to do with Scott. Scott works when he's leading, when he's being a strategist, when he's pushing people to. I get they're trying to turn him into X-Men Captain America.
I see what you're saying.
But it doesn't work because Cyclops, his best work is when he's interplaying off and bouncing off of his teammates. Him just out doing his own thing, he's just boring white guy number 73.
And you know as well as I do, this series the first 3 issues will probably sell very well, and I easily just see this falling off a cliff. Honestly,
I don't even know if we know the creative team on this one yet. I can see it. I don't even see it debuting incredibly well unless they're slapping a lot of variants.
Oh, they're going to be packing like 30 variants for this one.
I know that they're well. I don't know. I don't think that they're going to waste a lot of variants on these. I don't think you're going to get more than maybe 7 or 8. I mean, that's still one is what 6 too many, but
Generation X-23 number 1. This character couldn't even sell in the current ongoing series. Laura Kinney, Wolverine, that shit fell off the sales charts ages ago.
Yeah,
they want to just relaunch it again.
Well, that's all it's going to be, and all it is a continuation of the Wolverine, the all new Wolverine series,
right?
From Legacy era.
Is there any way to make her character work? Because they've tried and tried, it just doesn't. Her character just isn't sticking.
I think that they've poisoned the character too much at this point. I think you got to let her sit for a number of years and not really use her. You need to kill all of like whatever the fuck the clone of the clone is, whether she's Scout or Honey Badger or whatever she's calling herself this today. You need to kill that one, and you also can't have. She needs her own identity. If she's not going to be X-23, that's fine. She can't be Wolverine.
Yep. Same thing with Miles Morales. It's like, if you're going to create these like legacy characters, you have to make them unique in a way that makes people want to be a fan of them. That's why I feel like DC's always kind of did it better with a few characters. Marvel just hasn't never figured that out. Like, they have to make them different, but they don't make them different enough.
Marvel was never a legacy company until 2012.
Oh, true. Yeah. Well,
They
the all new,
they,
all
they
different.
there was
Yeah.
all well, not even all new, all different. It was started during Marvel Now.
Mm.
Um, that's when they tried doing legacies, and like that's the thing. Marvel was never the legacy because Marvel understood the one major thing with superheroes, especially a realistic, and I use that term very loosely,
Mm-hmm.
more realistic and more human heroes than DC.
Mm-hmm.
And that being a superhero by its nature is an egotistical and narcissistic like undertaking. The last thing you were going, because right there, by going out and being a vigilante and a superhero, you were essentially saying, I am smarter than the system. I can do things. I will do what the system cannot. I am better. And I don't mean that in a negative way. You're placing yourself above society. You're ignoring their rules, their laws in order to accomplish a task that the society and the system is not able to do. That is inherently a narcissistic and egotistical endeavor. The last thing that person will do is take someone else's name. They're going to want their own unique identifier. It's fundamentally, contrary to the type of activity to be like, oh, and now I'm gonna steal somebody else. Now I'm gonna just be the one that everybody's like, oh, that's the other Spider-Man. No, I want to be known for my whatever my identity is. That's what it comes down to.
The next one is Inglorious X-Force. When was the last time X-Force had an ongoing run?
A couple during Krakoa.
Okay.
There was an X-Force.
Hit?
Not really. I mean, that was the Ben Percy series. It went like 50 issues. And I didn't, it started off good and then kind of went to crap. It was the one that had Beast slowly turning evil, and Wolverine was on it. And Joshua Cassara was the artist for a lot of it, and I don't like Joshua Cassara's weird, like wiry art, and like he's more of a horror artist, and I don't think it works well for a
more of a horror artist.
Horror.
Okay.
So now that being said, other than the fact that Helverine is in this, everything else about it I want. Archangel, Cable, Boom Boom, and then Helverine. It's Dawkins. It's Dawkins with a glow skull. I don't want that.
Oh god, some of these covers for the issue ones look pretty solid.
Hey, look, Tony Daniel's doing a lot of the covers for these, and I fucking love Tony Daniel. And he's also doing some interiors on a couple of the, I think, X-Men.
Oh, the next one is Magic and Colossus #1. So Magic, her last series only got 10 issues, and Marvel just canned that.
Magic can't care. Like, Magic has a lot of very, very, very rabid fans on the internet. None of them have ever bought any of her comics. No, actually, her recent one was actually selling better than a number of the other From the Ashes books, but it got canned before them. Strangely
That's probably because of the covers. You ask most people why they bought those books. It's like with that new Emma Frost series that they're trying to do. That's probably only being bought for those covers. So those covers look pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, cheesecake covers definitely sell. But look, a Magic and Colossus series, there's no hook there that I'd be that interested in.
How many issues you think? 8, 5?
I'm going to go with 6 to 8.
Oh, God. And you'll have people making their videos being like, why did Marvel cut this from their solicitations? No one's buying it.
Yeah.
Because it was not supposed to be an idea in the first place. Rogue #1. Wasn't there Rogue Savage Land that came out earlier?
There was the Rogue Savage Land book that was out earlier this year that took place between Uncanny X-Men 269 and 270 276.
Yeah.
I think. I, I didn't read it because Tim Seeley wrote it, and I don't read things that Tim Seeley writes. That said, I've heard that it was actually done pretty well, and it was kind of just good, run of the mill superhero story. That's fine. The problem is Rogue can't, again, is not a character that could carry a series.
Even her hips, even her
No,
nice thighs.
she's
Nope.
already had like 4 solo series. I don't think any of them made it past 3 issues, to be honest.
Another Storm relaunch. Like, she already had a series that only went like, I think, 10 issues. Another relaunch for Storm, a character that we know just doesn't sell well unless she's part of a team aspect. And we know this is some, like, they just canceled Deadpool at 15 issues to get it to a legacy number 300. And they're going to do another one, another Deadpool
Wade
restart
Wilson.
less than like 6 months after they just canceled the other one.
This is another one where I don't know who also the fact that they're using the Deadpool or Wade Wilson Deadpool. That's a bit of a tell for me. It means we're getting a second Deadpool book, but this one that'll be about his daughter. Because his daughter is going by the name Deadpool too.
Yeah, because they did the Deadpools and Wolverines book, which was written by that Cody Ziegler guy that did like the Miles Morales comic books. It's like, and they only get that guy 3 issues.
He's a Rick and Morty writer.
Good Lord. Rick and Morty was supposed to be funny.
That's the thing. I've tried. I watched through like 2.5 seasons, and I remember looking at my friends going, when does it get funny? Like, okay, I'm not even that hard to amuse.
Yeah, I think one episode, I wasn't even the full episode. I just saw this on like Facebook. It was the episode where his son was about to get raped by that bean, that alien bean. Like, that was, I'll admit, like, that was funny. But everything else was like, I never got the appeal of the show, honestly. I never got it. I didn't think it was that funny. Like, if I'm looking at the shows that I grew up with that were funny, it was like, you know, like Family Guy and American Dad, and you had like South Park in its prime, and like Futurama.
Even up until probably about season 15 of The Simpsons.
Yeah. Oh, like this guy right here, I said, find a way to get them back on Krakoa or hang it up.
Okay. Orgy Island boy. I don't care. It's just an Orgy Island fanboy. He never bought an X-Men comic in his life.
Yeah.
He read them all for free on the pirate site.
That's the crazy thing is, like, recently, you know, like, I know you don't read as much DC as Marvel, but you know, DC Comics canceled the newest Green Arrow ongoing series, and you had a lot of people that went like, oh my god, it's so good, why is it getting canceled? Well, you guys didn't buy the book, actually. And if most of you, and people understand, I understand we have money problems, I do, but if you want a series to continue and you want to get it to like that 60s, 80 issues, big omnibus runs that the characters used to have back in the day, you have to buy the books. I find it crazy that, like you said this earlier too, what people did, they pirate the books, read them, and then complain when the books get canceled. You didn't put any money into the series.
Yeah, you have zero skin in the game.
Yeah, people literally have zero skin in the game. Now, complaining about a series they didn't financially support.
Now, here's one thing where I will give them some, grace.
Mm-hmm.
The publisher, both of the publishers,
yes,
have taken this same philosophy,
mm-hmm.
which is, if you are still reading and you're complaining, well, obviously it's not enough to make you quit reading. But simultaneously, if you quit reading, well, you're not a customer, so we don't need to listen to you. They've created their own echo chamber where there are no circumstances in which they have to actually listen to the reader.
Yeah.
Because if you're still buying, then obviously it's not enough to make you quit. But if you quit, then you're not a customer, so we don't need to hear you. Mm-hmm. So in both cases, they get it's heads I win, tails you lose.
Yeah.
That's they've created that.
And that's what the system is, because since you're not the customer, it doesn't actually matter if you don't buy the books because you're not the one paying for them.
Correct. And
Yeah.
not only and beyond that, even if you were, they would take the approach of, well, you're not buying now, so we don't have to listen. Well, you're still buying, so we don't have to listen. They've created a, you know, we've all seen the Adam Sandler movie from the late 90s, early 2000s, Big Daddy, where he's at that fucking kid. He accidentally adopts a kid, and they're playing cards one night with him and somebody else and Rob Schneider, and the kid just keeps throwing down random cards and is like, I win. They're like, what the hell are the rules of this game? And he's like, the rules are I win. You've just played I win with them. That, like, they just win.
Yeah, and then the only thing that I can extend to these people is the argument that I always read, which is like, well, given how bad things are, I don't want to financially invest, and I could financially get a bad book. But that's the gamble we take with all entertainment. Even before we even had the internet, you would gamble that you would go watch a random movie, and if it was bad, you lucked out. But if it was a good movie you liked, you lucked in. It's like, if you take that approach to life, I don't get how anyone could survive in life like that. If you're going off the logic of, well, things are pretty much all bad, so I don't want to give anything a chance with my money, then but no one would do that for, like, come on. I guess the analogy is bad because it's food, but, like, you've had some bad food in your life. Do you just stop eating food?
Yeah.
No, you just simply go, okay, I'm just not going to eat that. Like,
exactly.
I don't like either. I get the mindset, because if they're thinking, hey, if most books are bad, why would I financially support? While not simultaneously realizing you are also part of the problem, is reason why books can't continue past like maybe 15 issues.
Yeah, I mean, look, what if I'm just reading this with no skin in the game? Maybe it's because I'm a reasonable person and they're not. Maybe that's the case, but I recognize that I really don't have, my voice really is irrelevant on my take on the book, because if I liked it enough that I really want to complain, I should go out and buy it. Now, I understand some people are broke, some people can't afford it, you blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be, your entertainment needs should still be met. Fucking commie gobbledygook.
Yeah. As these guys spend all their money on OnlyFans whores, but
But so, like, I understand, and I'm not like entirely unsympathetic to that thought, worldview, but at the same time, I'm unsympathetic to that worldview.
Yeah. It's just like, because I've known people that I've talked to on these shows, and they'll use sentiments that are like, hey, everything coming out is bad. But it's like, we can't, even by that logic, no one's ever was able to read every book that has ever come out, because there's too many that come out.
Exactly.
So what I feel like what people did was that they were reading maybe max 2 to 5 books, and they kind of just judged the entire line off of it. Now, to be fair, everyone's tastes are different, everyone's preferences are different. Maybe all the line is maybe most line would seem bad to you if you've read 5 books, but even that's just not logical line of thinking, because how could 5 books justify all of them being bad? That's just ridiculous.
Actually. I was reading about 35
Lord
Marvel titles alone. When I just kind of tapped out. And I can honestly say that there were 1, maybe 2 that I liked a little bit, but not even enough to like justify me going to the store on a regular basis. Like, I needed something to actually, that book was the impetus for me to go. Even on weeks where, because see, I'm not one of those, even though I was like a hardcore Wednesday warrior.
Yeah.
I never, it had been a long, long time. So probably since I'm in my 40s, and it was probably since my early 20s was the last time I actually checked what was coming out on a week-to-week basis.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's probably been 20, 25 years. So, but there were a couple of books that I loved. I loved them. So it was enough to get me to go to the store every week.
Yeah.
because I wasn't really paying attention to what was coming out,
Mhm.
and buy 30, 35 books. Now, a lot of times I was pre-ordering. I had a pull list. I had 25, 30 books on my pull list.
Good Lord. That's a lot of
Plus,
money.
plus I was also buying, probably 5 to 15 books a month off the rack, like off the shelf, that just looked interesting or that I'd be given a shot to. Sometimes it was just a cool variant that I liked. Sometimes it was a series that I just missed the boat on, and I didn't put it on my pull because I decided I was going to give it a shot. But or more along the lines of, I wanted to it had to sell me on itself once I grabbed the first issue or two off the shelf before I made the dedication to putting it onto my pull list. Primarily because I'm one of those people that if I put it on my pull list, you pulled it for me, it's on my pull list now. You place the order now. I'm not getting that book for 3 months, which means the next 2 issues, even if I want to quit, I'm still buying them because I'm not a dick like that.
Yeah, I know store owners have posted that customers don't come back and get their books. It's like, that's what I hate. I understand that from the store owner's point of view. It's like, hey, if you understood potentially that, you couldn't afford these books, don't have the list. Now I get sometimes financially bad things happen to people. They lose their jobs or they lose less hours at work. I understand it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where if the average person is just getting books and pulling them and not picking them up, that's another problem too. It's like they're not even
cancel their pull.
Yeah, it's like they're not even getting that constant stream of money that they're hoping to get from having the pull list. And then when you lose that, it's another just chunk of money the store loses, actually.
Oh, I am very, very, I've always been sympathetic to that, where, hey, look, whether they were, they added one extra book to what they were ordering, at least, because I said I'm committed to buying this. I better follow through on that commitment. It was personal take of mine. That was my, I don't know, moral stand or whatever. That I'm gonna make good on my promise, implied or otherwise. I'm not legally obligated. There's nothing I can do, but it's kind of the shopping cart theory for pull lists and comic shops.
Also, comic book shops don't take EBT, people. You can't use SNAP benefits on comic books.
Nope. So they're going to be fine come November 1st.
Also, apparently people are going to rob stores and eat people. It's like, okay, that's insane.
Well,
then again, the world's crazy now. You never know what's going to happen, honestly.
It'll make shopping a little more exciting. But no, so I didn't put a book on my pull list lightly. That means I was buying it. And even if it started I was one of those people that would deal with through the lean issues where it kind of sucked. And I was never a person to, after I got my pull list and was walking around looking at the books on the shelf, not once did I ever even consider putting one of my pull books back on the shelf.
And that's what happens. That's why I've always kind of treated it like a TV show. You could either stick with it till the very end of the season, or you just kind of cut it off and just don't watch at a single point. That's how I treat it. That's how I typically look at it now. Last few things I'll ask you before I have to head out is, the first thing is, do you have anything planned coming up for the rest of 2025 going into 2026 that you would like to let the audience know about?
Well, I mean, obviously I'll be on Comics Aficionados most every Saturday morning.
Conservatives? Crazy.
No, not Comics Aficionados. Not comics conservatives, Comics Aficionados.
Yeah.
I will be on it most Saturdays. I'm almost always on it unless I just don't feel like I'll feel up to it, or if I got other plans.
You have a life outside of comic books? That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? Or I'm traveling. That's every Saturday morning, 10 o'clock Eastern time, 7 a.m. Pacific time. It's your Saturday morning delight. And then I don't know, nothing really else. I don't do my own show. I don't have my own. I mean, technically everybody that has a YouTube account, like a Google account, has their own channel. but I don't. Let's put it this way: I don't create content for it. I think I got like 5 videos in like 10 years. So if you're going to be waiting for me to start uploading myself, don't hold your fucking breath. And I've been buying way too many toys recently. Not buying comics, so my money has to go somewhere. And no, of course it can't just go into my bank account and sit there. No, I got
good old Hot Toys. You got to get 4 Hot Toys on PayPal paying 4. That's how you know. Good
no,
Lord.
I just bought a couple of GI Joe classifieds and that Gamerverse Captain America versus Venom 2-pack, because that is definitely the best looking Captain America action Marvel Legend figure that I've ever seen.
And the last thing I'll ask you is, do you have any shout outs you want to give to anyone in particular and anything else you want to say before you head out?
Well, thank you again for having me on. I want to say,
anytime.
I want to say thanks for everybody coming. Thanks for everybody lurking. Want to say, hey to all the folks that are typically over on, Comics Aficionados in the chat, Aaron Sparrow, Eric Sullivan, Wes, obviously, Jim from Weird Science, as well as Gabe from Weird Science. It's great to, great to always stream with them. And that's pretty much it. I don't really talk to anybody else on here anymore.
Hell yeah. So it was great having a Doc on for 3rd appearance. Can't wait to have him on a couple times next year as well. So if I don't see you within the rest of the year, because scheduling and stuff like that, because of the holidays, happy Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's.
All right. I'll even throw Valentine's Day on there just in case.
But to be fair, I'm going to be a single, hot, rich, good-looking white guy in these streets,
I know, right?
So, thank you guys for coming by and checking out this episode of the MSK Show. We will see you guys in the next